And we're live.
Hello.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It is Thursday at 3 o'clock, and it is your favorite technology show broadcast from Epiphan's headquarters here in Ottawa, live at Epiphan. Come on, say something, Adam.
Hello, YouTube and Facebook and wherever else this reaches you. Twitch, I think?
Yeah, we're out on Twitch. We're on Facebook, YouTube Live as well. Now, if you are throwing any comments on Facebook today, unfortunately, we're not monitoring that. So please just go to YouTube and you can make your comments there.
YouTube, we've got you covered. So
yeah, YouTube, we do have you covered. We do have you covered.
And it is my first time watching the chat today, so if I missed some of you, I apologize.
Now, I should introduce us real quick. My name's Cameron, and of course, this is Adam. Adam works as a customer support agent here at Epiphan. So if you've ever called in, you might have talked to him. He's the deeper Adam.
The deeper voice of the two
Adams.
Adams.
Yeah, the deeper of the two Adams. And Adam also has a background in video editing, video production, 3D rendering, and you helped us out quite a bit on this week's show, actually. We did a lot of the heavy lifting this week.
Yeah, I'm really excited to show you guys what we came up with. I think you're going to get quite a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's actually a really fun episode. So today we're going to be talking about deep fakes, and can we trust video anymore?
Could we ever really trust video? I mean,
yes! Absolutely, you could. Well, I guess that's fair, because video could be manipulated in the way that it was edited or the way it was presented, right? But usually the faces were real.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, and especially if it was something filmed, by the news or just a regular video camera. Obviously Hollywood visual effects. You go into that knowing what you're seeing isn't real. But with stuff these days, it's hard to say. Looks like we've got Linda on the chat here.
Hey, Linda, thanks for tuning in as always this week.
Kim Sorensen is in.
Now, of course, a few of our, I was going to say George is at ISC, but he's not.
George was supposed to be at ISC.
He was supposed to be at ISC, but he was a little bit under the weather, unfortunately. And I actually heard a few different companies pulled out of ISC this year just due to some concerns about illnesses and stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But yeah, he's getting some rest. He's not spreading it around the office, which is great. Hopefully he's watching from home today and comfortable in his bed.
Linda's saying the beards aren't real.
Yeah, throw that one up on there.
They are real this time around, but we might show you some stuff later on today that maybe the beards are real, maybe they aren't.
That's funny. Now it looks like
up?
Yeah, no, the titling is just
I'll
chugging
get
along
used
there.
to it.
So let's get into it. What is a deepfake video?
A deepfake video is essentially a forged fake digital video that is designed to, present it in such a way that the viewer watching it would have no idea that it was actually fake. So the whole idea is that it looks real, it's seamless, and I think the big thing with the deepfakes is that it's kind of open to anybody. Anybody with a computer can basically do it.
Right, and it's getting easier and easier. Lisa, if you can just flip us over to the keynote layout there. Now, we've been seeing some really cool deep fakes happening for a while now, and there's one guy, he's producing a lot of this content, Control-Shift-Face, and like you said, it's taking someone's face and putting it onto another face.
Yeah, so
we've got Sly Stallone on there, which is pretty fun as well.
On the face of Kevin McAllister.
Yeah,
from
Kevin
Home Alone.
McAllister, that's right. Now, this has been around for a while, but like you mentioned, anyone can make them, and the technology is just getting better and better on this stuff.
Yeah, every day there seems to be a new deepfake video that comes out that looks even more realistic. I mean, here you have an actor, and they put a Schwarzenegger's face on him, and obviously that's not Schwarzenegger, but it is just amazing how it takes the likeness and how it transcribes it onto the other person's face. It's kind of scary, but also really cool.
It's Bill Hader.
It is, yeah, that is Bill Hader,
right.
And it's very cool because not only does he have the right mannerisms and voice to kind of match that impersonation, which really makes it work for deepfakes, they can actually put Schwarzenegger's face on his face. All right, now, how exactly, and let's stop trying to put the titles up because it's just killing it.
It doesn't seem to be working here.
Here, I'm just going to...
Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good. I'm just going to kill this real quick here because that is just killing us. Now, why are deepfake videos kind of shaking our trust in video itself? So we saw some fun, entertaining ones, and that's great. No one's going to freak out that Jim Carrey is in The Shining. Right. But why is it kind of shaking our trust in video in general?
Well, I think one of the big deepfake moments that happened that really kind of showed everyone what this can do is we had, was it Peel, who did a video of Obama. He did his voice, and then they put Obama's face onto him, and it's pretty much perfect. And I think
bounce us over to the keynote one again. Now, so this one definitely kind of raises the idea of the fact that you could have a political leader who's impersonated in some messaging, with a really good voice actor in the background, or even having like an AI voice impersonation,
right.
and really tricking a lot of people. So you can see Peel side by side there doing it. And there's some other examples as well that we found where political leaders have been put into scenes or they've been altered.
Right. Vladimir Putin is another favorite target of the deep fakers.
Yeah, exactly. No, he does watch the show, so let's tread lightly. Now, obviously, we've seen a lot of confusion around fake news, and it's kind of folks in general have shown the fact that they can be tricked by these articles. So could you imagine like a fake news campaign that's kind of like spearheaded by like an actual like a deep fake video kind of backing it up?
It's scary, and I mean, I think it just goes to show that really you have to take everything you see these days with a grain of salt and not immediately believe it. And it's only going to get worse from here, isn't it?
Well, and the real challenge ahead is the fact that we just need to kind of educate ourselves to know this. You don't want to be like totally paranoid all the time and not trust anything.
Not. Yeah.
But as obviously this is becoming more of a problem, companies are respecting that, or not respecting that, but companies are reacting to that.
Right.
Adobe has a tool that they're developing where it can actually detect if there's been augmentation to a photo.
Right.
And I think there's even like a whole department in the, I'm sure there's a whole department with the CIA, but
I hadn't heard of that, actually.
Yeah, government agencies are also focusing on that to make sure that they can get ahead of this, so they can detect it live, kind of as this stuff is coming out.
Yeah, I think more and more you're going to see how important the deepfake detection technology also becomes, and who knows, maybe one day it might even be built into our browsers. Like warning, this video has a high percentage chance of getting altered. Or
exactly, you've got your ad blocker, and then you have your deepfake blocker. Now, is deepfake entirely bad? Like, is it only for these nefarious purposes?
Well, like any technology, there's good and bad uses of it. And most of the stuff that's out there has been pretty fun, and it's obvious, Stallone on Kevin's face, that's obvious. So, of course, like any technology, is how you use it. And, so I think there's definitely something to think about there. But, we should definitely be wary of it. But at the same time, there is an opportunity to have some fun, which maybe we could show you later on.
Yeah, well, we'll jump into that for a second. Lisa, why don't you just jump us back into the keynote for a second? Now, there's been a lot of buzz recently around The Irishman.
That's right.
And so The Irishman used kind of a form of deep fakery. It wasn't exactly the same way that we did our deep fake,
right? But
obviously, but they had a very complicated setup where they were shooting with infrared cameras and doing a lot of facial tracking and whatnot.
But what's interesting about The Irishman, and I think what you're going to see more and more of, is that there was not a single artist who did any animation on those faces in The Irishman. And that is kind of what the deep fake era is all about, is that there's no real artistry there in a sense, as it used to be with visual effects. You had that. Now it's basically the technician is kind of helping steer the AI into a direction. And that's what you saw with The Irishman, was that there was there was all technicians on that, and not a single artist touched that. And so those results are kind of 100% machine derived, which is kind of interesting.
That's an interesting point. And just as we have this video playing in the background, we're showing some of the techniques that they were using. This is way beyond what most folks are using on YouTube.
This is ILM, and they're in a league of their own.
Like the movie A League of Their Own?
Yeah, exactly.
Rosie O'Donnell? Yeah, no, that was not ILM. Great movie, though. Now, we've seen some examples up on here, and I'm sure some folks even saw how, the one guy on YouTube even improved on this.
That's right. Yeah, someone took The Irishman and then they deep faked The Irishman. So it's like 2 levels deep of de-aging, and it actually looked pretty good. But there's a softness there, so it's not quite there yet. But I mean, more and more you're going to see even the visual effects studios, like for example on Avengers, they use machine learning algorithms on Thanos because there wasn't enough information just from the motion capture performance that they got from Josh Brolin. So they added another layer of machine learning on top of that to just really augment the animation to make it look really believable.
Gotcha.
So it's already being used by the big companies as well.
Here, throw that one up from Faithfulness there. I see a nice sweet message.
Oh, there we go. That's a nice message. Sorry, I've completely completely neglected my duty.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's a lot to throw at you. Herbert's really good at multitasking with that.
He's
happy
been doing it for a while,
He has been doing it for a while. Happy Valentine's Day. We missed our opportunity to do a Valentine's Day episode this week.
Oh, you're right.
So
we
just have to be really sweet to each other today on this episode.
Or this thing that we're about to show you was done with love. So maybe that's.
I know you're so keen. I want to keep torturing you.
I know, because I've been working on this for like 2-3 weeks, and.
No, it hasn't been 2 or 3 straight weeks.
No.
120 man hours
in spare time. And
all right, so how are deepfakes made, and what did we learn along the way?
Yeah, we learned a lot. So basically, a deepfake. That's kind of, the traditional way to do it, or I should say traditional because it's only been around for a couple of years. But basically, you have your source footage, and the source footage is, the face that you want to transplant onto another face. And so...
And so release again to the keynote, we'll show an example while Adam's explaining.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about what we did, or is that too
of course.
soon?
We're gonna get into it right now.
So we experimented with our own deepfake. We wanted to put Cameron's face on Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws. So the first attempt that we started with for the source footage, we just took footage from the live show. I think it was just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, 149, like before we had our live script drop.
Yeah, and the idea there was just, okay, we've got 20 to 30 minutes roughly of Cameron just moving his head around different angles. And so we just grabbed that footage that already exists, and that's how a lot of deepfakes are made. There'll be maybe an interview of a celebrity, or there's already footage out there. And you want, the kind of footage is obviously something where it's clear, there's nothing coming in front of the face.
Yeah.
One of the problems we had was Cameron likes to talk with his hands, so there's
gesticulation.
It
wasn't super high quality.
No,
right?
because as you can see, if you can see the size of his head on this screen, even though...
Put your finger right in there.
The total resolution of that is not very high. So
I'm pretty low poly, just in general.
The first attempt was not that great. So, but going back to how it's done.
Well, maybe explain a little bit about the graph that we're seeing.
Yeah,
here on
exactly.
the screen.
So what we did is we had Cameron's face, and then we also had to analyze the destination. And the destination was, the face that we wanted to put Cameron's face onto. In this case, it was Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws. And so the computer had to analyze those frames as well. And you can see in that image there where it's got the landmarks of the facial features.
And did you have to map any of that, or did the program do all that mapping?
It was partial. So there would be a first pass where the computer would go through, and it was the same with your footage as well. So for the source and the destination, you let the computer do a first pass, and it looks for all the facial landmarks. You got the eyes, you got the nose, the mouth, and the eyebrows, and so on. But there'd be a lot of them where it couldn't find it. So especially in Jaws, there's a lot of fast motion, and motion blur is just total death for these AIs. They really don't like it because it's just a blurry mess. And so I did have to go in later on and manually identify facial landmarks.
Okay. And
we would remove frames from your source footage that had your hand going in front of it, or ones where it just couldn't resolve the face. So that's the first step, is preparing your source and destination footage. Thanks. I get very loud when I get excited.
Yeah, that's okay. Adam is very excited about this project, and I feel, because I just saw Geraldine come by, so I feel like he might have just been peeking a little bit, but that's okay.
Don't want to peek too early. It's never a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. If you peek too soon. Now, so let's get into the first attempt that we made at this one. You can kind of walk us through as we're playing this.
Right. So yeah. So here we go. This is the first attempt of getting Cameron's face on there. As you can see, it was somewhat successful. It's kind of blurry, and we made a lot of mistakes in this first attempt, and we learned a lot from it. And one of the first mistakes we made really was that we tried on the hardest footage possible. You've got all this motion and fast camera pans and all that kind of stuff, and so the AI just had a really hard time seeing where the face was, and you can see it's kind of bouncing on and off, and you can kind of see Cameron's face in there. It's kind of blurry.
Well, and as we found too, like my glasses really kind of messed that up.
That's right. So Cameron had these black frame, thick.
That's what I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, exactly. But in the movie, Richard Dreyfuss had these very thin frame glasses. So what we actually did for the second attempt, we went out and we bought Cameron a pair of glasses, and we popped the lenses out that more matched what Richard Dreyfuss had in that movie. And
we also did that a couple of frames ago. We saw that shot of me, so it was like a super close-up shot here in the studio, a lot of light, super high frame rate as well to get that footage.
We completely reshot Cameron's source footage. really close up. I got him to move his head in all directions, you know, did a whole range of facial expressions, happy, sad, laughing, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, and the other thing we did was that the destination footage, we chose shots from Jaws that were much more calm. You know, the face wasn't moving all around, much clearer, much brighter.
We'll play it while you're explaining that. So.
Yeah, so you can see the second attempt, I think, went a lot better. It's still a bit funny in some places. And the other thing, too, is that these AIs need a lot of time to go through this stuff. And so on the first attempt, it was only training the AI to swap the faces for about 5 hours.
Did we mention what program you used for this?
Yeah, no, we didn't. And the program I used was called Deep Face Lab. And now there's a few of them out there, but Deep Face Lab seemed to be one of the best. A lot of people were saying it was really good. There's some tutorials out there that I followed. And by following the tutorials and kind of trying different settings, you can see we got a little, I mean, that really does look like your face, I think, you know. Now there's some weirdness there going on with the mouth. I think the AI isn't that great with beards and mustaches.
That's really just my resting face, hanging open like that.
And this time we trained the AI for almost 3 full days. So for 3 days, the computer was just churning and churning and churning and churning on this. And what that was is we call it iterations. So, you know, it went through around 150,000 iterations, essentially just trying over and over and over and over again to match the source to the destination. And, you know, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, for a first time, I'm pretty proud of it.
No, I think it was great. And one of the things, Adam, I remember you saying that finding the right settings so the computer wouldn't crash was kind of a challenge.
That's right. So this
because it's freeware. It's an open source program.
It is open source, yeah. And this stuff, it just eats up video card memory. So we had a video card in this computer that had 6 gigs of RAM, and that was, you know, barely cutting it. And so what I had to do is, find the setting that wouldn't cause the computer to just run out of memory and crash. And just
because you would start it on Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and then come back and find it was crashed on Monday morning.
Right, exactly.
Which wasn't great.
So I found those settings, and those settings produce those results. Now, what's interesting, we have a third attempt here, and after I trained that AI for an entire weekend, what I realized and what I discovered was that the next time you put that AI to another task using the same face, it's much quicker. So what we did as a test is we ran back through the first footage that we tried. That's the stuff that gave us such a hard time. Now, it's still not perfect, but in just a very short period of time, in a few hours, it was able to get to a much better result than we had on the first time. So,
well, and the shading looks better, like the coloring
and
as well,
the facial expressions. And so the big thing with deepfakes is time. You need a lot of time. And I think these guys who are really good at it on YouTube, they probably have their AIs trained for weeks, months, years maybe even. And so they're able to get amazing results very quickly. So,
well, and these guys are also using like render farms, right?
Yeah,
like Paper Source, like they're using, like they're kind of outsourcing that rendering. So you can send it to a render farm.
You could. I mean, I don't see why you couldn't. And that's.
I'm pretty sure that's Dr. Fakenstein.
Oh, right.
One of his sponsors for his videos is like an external GPU render farm, I think. But
okay, that makes a lot of sense.
But that would make sense, right? Because they just render it out in like a huge data center.
See, now that's not fair because I'll never be able to compete with those guys.
Never say never. Never say never.
Are you gonna buy me a render farm?
No. Okay, so you can say never.
So
that was really cool, Adam. That was really cool.
Those were our attempts, and now that we have Cameron's face, we have an AI trained on Cameron's face. We want to hear your suggestions onto who else we could put him onto next.
No, I don't think we're going to get to redo this episode. It's kind of this will be a one-off for us. But why don't you take a look at the comments? You know, again, this was quite a few attempts that Adam had made. It took a lot of processing power on the computer here that we have you set up on, and he literally had to set it up over the weekend and let it run, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, but I learned a lot from it. Really cool process. And again, you know, it wasn't me being a visual effects artist, which I'm used to doing. It was me guiding an AI, and the AI was doing all the lifting, and so. It was really interesting that I felt like I was working with the machine more than I'd ever felt before. So that was pretty neat.
You're actually working with the machine. You were in cahoots. Right. You're in cahoots with the machine.
And now that we have your face, you better be careful.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was actually one of the reviews or one of the explainers about deepfakes that I watched. That was kind of the final thoughts from this guy. I was like, all right, now I'm just going to go and delete everything of me that's available publicly. Right. Because, like, obviously Jim Carrey didn't sit down with anybody to make that shining deepfake video. All that material is pulled off. Obviously, there's a huge catalog of his films and expressions and all that stuff, right?
Exactly. So. But who knows, maybe in the future, as people film themselves more and more and more, that could become more of a concern, right? How much footage of yourself are you putting out there? Exactly. Maybe you should always be waving your hand in front of your face just to fool the AIs.
Do you think that would be a good way of doing it?
It definitely, you know, the AI would definitely not like that. Based on my experience with these deepfakes, it would not be that great.
Oh, that's funny. And so this is from Xiao. Xiao said, there's so many beards on screen right now. So why did we pick Jaws? Do you remember why we actually picked Jaws?
I thought you picked Jaws, actually.
So why did I pick Jaws?
Well,
Do you remember why I picked
wanted
Jaws?
to match, you know, as best as possible. You want to match the source and the destination. I mean, you don't have to, of course, but it's gonna make an easier job for the AI. It's gonna look more convincing.
All right, that's not the answer I was looking for. We picked Jaws because it was all dudes with beards.
Well, that's what I was getting to.
Oh, you're getting okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was
had a beard.
That was a slow burn leading up to that.
I like to lead them on a journey, you know.
All right, I'm gonna throw this one up just because it's Linda. Marta needs a beard. No, she doesn't.
We could do that. We have the technology now. We have the power.
Don't do that to Marta. No. No, we need her.
Maybe I could unbeard my face. Can you reverse deepfake?
Can you? Yeah, do well. That would be the digital de-aging.
That's true.
Right? You
That's
would
a good point.
de-beard. And if you have the face, I think if you have the face app, you could probably do that too, right?
But the face app, yeah.
Yeah, the young.
And that face app, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with that, but that was kind of the first time deepfaking really came into the public. You know, everyone in their hand could age themselves, and it was pretty scary. It looked very realistic, and I was honestly too afraid to do that to myself because I just did not want to see what 60-year-old me is going to look like. Some things are better left as a mystery, I think.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, well, that's deepfakes. That's how to do it. Please check out Control Shift Face's YouTube page. He's got some amazing videos on there.
And please, if you have any suggestions to put Cameron's face on next, please.
Yeah, don't bother. All right, well, thank you very much for watching. What are we talking about next week, do you know?
Next week, we are going to be talking about HDMI versus SDI versus USB video with George and George.
It's only 3 verses? There should be like another verse on, like, versus composite.
Oh boy, that would be brutal.
What would be another one versus NDI
versus
RTSP?
Cable, good old coax.
Yeah, coax. Yeah, we should have
remember
coax
that?
on there.
Remember coax?
Have you ever tried to splice a coax cable?
Yeah, and it was really painful, and I'm never doing it again.
You cut it open, and you're like, what is this? There's like French, like braiding in there. What do you call it? Like
the shielding.
Yeah, the
That's
shielding.
right, the metallic sheeting, yeah. Don't do that, folks.
Yeah, don't do that. All right, well, thank you very much for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And don't forget to follow us on all the socials. We're on YouTube, Facebook. Check out our Instagram page as well if you want to see some behind-the-scenes shots from ISE, from our trade show events and from the show itself.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks.